In this class we're going to be concerned with the functional structure of a business. Now first of all, let's group what we know under competencies at the functional level. So what we do is we're grouping by function. We're grouping personnel by function, and we're looking to develop competencies at the functional level. We're aiming to develop areas of expertise, areas of talent within these functional levels. So we've got groupings by function. So we're grouping people on the basis of their expertise or because they use the same resources. So for example, we group the accountants together, we group the marketing people together, we group the personnel people together because they have an expertise or because they use the same resources. Now the advantages of this, well, for a start, people can learn from each other and they support each other because they have expert knowledge, so they understand each other better. So working as, if you like, small teams is a good idea, because when a problem arises, collectively they can solve the problem. The person is not isolated. And they can monitor each other to see how well they're doing, and not just support, but agree deadlines and work as a small team to deliver on time, to work as a small community almost within the organization, as a team within the organization to deliver a good quality product, one that perhaps motivates them and they enjoy doing. And managers have greater control because the managers know exactly what that group of workers are doing. They know what the accountants are doing. They're doing the accounts. They know what the marketing personnel are doing. They're marketing the product. So there's much greater control on the part of management out of having workers in functional groupings like this. With different functional hierarchies, the company can avoid becoming too tall. So this is a way of stopping the organization becoming very tall. It can still remain quite flat, but simply by grouping functions together at a level, it means that they don't have to climb on top of each other to create a tall organization. So all the functions could be seen at the same level as middle management. In other words, there's a senior management at the top, a middle management, which also looks after the functions and also controls the production level, which will be seen as the bottom tier of the pyramid. So what we've got is advantages of the functional level. Let's see how this would work out in terms of diagrams or charts, I should say. We'd have the Chief Executive Officer, and then we'd have a function, let's say, for R&D. We'd also have one for, let's say, sales and marketing. We could have manufacturing, material management, and engineering. There could be others. Depends on the product, it depends on the business, depends on the market. But here we've just got, we've listed out 5. There might be many more. So all of these may appear at one level in the organization, and the CEO will be at the level above. And each one of these will have a manager looking after each part. So the engineering will have a production manager looking after what happens there. So this could be the structure of the business. In this case, we'd have, in a sense, 2 tiers. We'd have a little pyramid with just 2 levels. We'd have the CEO at the top level, and at the level below, these functional departments, all at that level, all at the same level. Now, at the functional level, so first of all, let's look at control at the functional level. Well, managers monitor and improve operating procedures. So at the functional level, we'd have the manager who oversees what happens within the function. So we'd have an accounts manager who looks after the accounts and looks after the accountants and ensures that there is accuracy, good quality and efficiency within that section. Easier to apply output control, so it's easier to gauge, if you like, the productivity of the section. And this can be done by looking at the output per head, perhaps within the section, or it could be done by looking at historic figures, saying, well, last year the output in this section was such and such, and this year it's less, or it's more. So it's easier to apply output control and measure output control. It's also developing a culture. Managers must implement the functional strategy and develop an incentive system that maximizes the success rate after implementation. So all of the operatives, all of the workers within the functional classifications, they must be motivated. There must be an incentive for them to work hard, to apply themselves and to meet the targets. And the managers must implement that incentive system. The type of production system should be decided. Here I've just mentioned, for example, total quality management, but there are many. I just mentioned this one. There are many types of production system, and an appropriate production system must be decided. Appropriate in the context of the product, the output rate, the technology to be used, the number of personnel, the skills required, and so on and so on. So some type of production system must be decided. And innovation to bring products quickly to market should be set as a target for the R&D section. So each of the sections will have their own set targets to meet. Sales, for example, will have output and will look at the behavior of customers and the performance of the product in the market, and will be judged against sales in the previous time period, or judged against what competitors are experiencing in the market. So we have different functional areas: marketing, sales, R&D, production. Each one will have its own targets and its manager to monitor what's happening and to try to achieve the targets. That's the point. Now, functional structure and bureaucratic costs. Well, there's the perennial communications problems, how to communicate effectively with all the functional departments. The CEO will have an issue of perhaps communicating effectively with all the departments, and it may be that regular meetings with all of the functional heads will be required to keep everyone in the picture of how the business is doing and what's the latest thinking and what's been planned. So at least the functional heads will be informed directly from the CEO. Communicating it within the functional area itself may be more complex, but that's for the departmental or functional head to decide. There are always measurement problems as to which functional area is contributing most to the business, which one is dead weight, which one is pulling their weight, which one is not. And this leads us to measurement problems. The management accountants will look to apportion costs between different areas and different under different headings. But that's not really the answer. The answer is that each of the functional areas should be contributing something that's valuable and is making a contribution towards the final performance of the business. But how that's measured exactly is always an issue. There are also problems with customer problems. When a customer has got a problem, who exactly is responsible? Well, it may come back through customer relations management, CRM, and that may be housed, that function may be housed under marketing, for example. Then marketing may have to deal with a production issue, that a product was faulty on the production side, or it was faulty in terms of some design issue where it was badly fitted together, or whatever. So customer problems must be routed efficiently. The customer must have a good experience of buying and using the product to ensure a good reputation within the marketplace. So customer problems need to be routed, and within the functional structure that must be clearly worked out in advance. Where does the customer go to, and how is the issue addressed? And that may cut across all of the functions. Location problems, well, where will the different functional areas be located? Will they be located in the same plant, in the same factory, or will they be located in some in offices and some big shop floor for production? Or how will it be organized, and does it need thinking about? Do they need to be in the same place? Do they need to report to the same building every day? Are there morale issues involved? Some people may be seen as office workers, others may be seen as shop floor workers. Are there implications for morale involved in this? So there are issues that need to be looked at when looking at the functional structure, and senior management must be aware of these. Of course, with functional structures, there is the possibility of outsourcing. Does the company need an accounting function? Could that work be outsourced to one of the major accounting companies who will do the accounts for the business, and perhaps that will be cheaper? There'll be less overheads associated with employing workers, less office space required. Perhaps there is an issue of outsourcing that the functional form raises, and perhaps management could outsource many of the functions. Perhaps not so much R&D, which we would like to keep under its control, and marketing, which we would want to keep under its control, but even personnel. The human resource recruitment, for example, could be done externally. So perhaps the senior management would want to look at the competitiveness of each of the functional areas vis-a-vis what could be achieved by outsourcing. There may be an issue with that. So what we've done in this little session, this brief session, is to talk about the functional structure of the business and talk about its implications for perhaps tall and flat organizations, because the functional structure, in many respects, it could be seen as two levels: the CEO and then all of the functions underneath. There are communications issues, so it may require face-to-face meetings on a fairly regular basis to ensure accuracy of communication. And then we got on to talk about the advantages of the structure, and also areas like we have got on the screen at the moment, situations where we're looking at, for example, communications problems, measurement, and so on, where management must be aware of these in the design of the functional structure itself. And we ended off by looking at outsourcing, which is nowadays a perennial issue, an issue that management must bear in mind all the time, and it's becoming increasingly popular to outsource functions to other business, to buy it in because it is cheaper to do so. So that concludes our little talk on the functional structure of the business. So let's leave it at that and say thank you for watching.